Hey everybody, welcome on back. It's the Rubbin is Racing podcast. It's presented by Cabo Wabo Tequila. Cabo Wabo Tequila is unquestionably Mexican tequila with an undeniably American attitude. Cabo Wabo isn't just tequila, it's damn good thick cut, 100% Blue Weber agave tequila, and it's the official tequila partner of NASCAR and the only tequila that I drink. Add a bold splash to race day watching with Cabo Wabo Tequila. And if you're heading to the race this weekend in Sonoma, California, or anywhere you're going, come celebrate race day with Cabo Wabo. And Cabo wants to remind you to leave the driving to the professionals. Please enjoy the thick-cut, bold taste of Cabo Wabo Tequila responsibly. Grab your buds and a bottle of Cabo Wabo Tequila for the boldest race day experience, but you must be 21 years or older to handle it. And we urge you to please use this responsibly. Thank you so much, Cabo Wabo, for your continued support. I'm going to have a couple of the smoke shows in just a couple of minutes. Boys, 15 races in the book, which puts us firmly on the back nine of the regular season of NASCAR this year. How's everybody feeling? How's everybody doing? I got Spider in Chicago sitting next to Quiggs. Manoli is at Hedonism, so we have Vinny sitting in for him. And we have Moonhead as the voice of God. He'll be in and out throughout the podcast. How are we doing in the Chicago, boys?
Fantastic.
Doing great out here.
A beautiful weekend. Nice weather. We had a Pup Punk show, and we saw great Xfinity and Cup Series race, so I'm pretty happy with the result.
So right now, this is our first episode in the month of June, which means we're closing in on the Chicago street race, which is the weekend right after July 4th. Have you guys started to see any road closure announcements? I mean, I'm sure with a big city, they'll probably wait until a week or so before they start saying, hey, shit's going to hit the fan with traffic this weekend. But have you seen anything about the road course, or the Chicago street race that's coming up, or is that?
I walked past the sick mural the other day. You seen that in Fulton Market?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I saw a sick mural they painted. I've had a billboard like outside of my that I can see like from my apartment since last year's race.
Oh, really?
That they never took down. It still just has the details for last year's race on it.
Okay.
I love it. I love the only thing I've seen has been like marketing, promo, and push and commercials and stuff. Not so much the road closures. So it seems like everyone last year was bitching about, it's such a headache, like the city's shut down. That doesn't seem to be the case, at least from my perspective.
It's kind of in a part of town that we don't go to anyway.
That's also true. Also,
it's a cool part of town. It's just not.
I don't own a car, so I don't drive on the roads that theoretically would be closed down on. But everything I've seen pertaining to the race has been like excitement and marketing push, not as much like infrastructure closures or stuff like that.
It's one of the reasons why I don't want it to come to New York, because I know how much it would snarl. I don't know where they would do it, personally. I don't know if they'd road course it through goddamn Central Park. I don't know.
They'd probably do Brooklyn and pretend like it's New York City.
Yeah, and try to go through the streets
I
of
know
Brooklyn.
they've done Formula
E
in Brooklyn before.
Right. And out by where I grew up, there's Floyd Bennett Field, which is essentially like an Air Force base. Like, I always thought like that would be a better thing, but I would dread seeing what it would do to this city, to be quite honest with you. Even though it would probably be great for, the economy of the city and whatnot, I would just dread the way that it would fuck me every day for my commute. Yeah. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to going out and spending some time with you guys especially, but also seeing how they can do pulling this thing off under perfect weather, and everyone's been saying rosaries with their fingers crossed and all that shit.
Yeah.
The headlines, I was going to combine the headlines with the DMs, because most of my DMs this week were saying, last week we were talking about Kyle Larson with the waiver, and I had alluded to how if he doesn't get the waiver, and we all knew that he was going to get the waiver, how I wouldn't have a problem with it. Personally, I wouldn't, right? Because it just was one of those things where he made his bed, he decided to stay and run the whole of the Indianapolis 500, and I know there was a bunch of other stuff involved, but if they had to go by letter of the law, I can understand it and whatnot. So a bunch of people have told me, hey, listen, you'd be comfortable with Austin Cindric being in the playoffs and not Kyle Larson, and my answer was yes, if that's what NASCAR had decided. But we're taping on Tuesday afternoon, and the news just dropped that, to no one's surprise, NASCAR has granted Kyle Larson a waiver for the playoffs this year. I can give you some of the quotes that they had said, we didn't take this lightly, a lot of discussion internally. I'm proud of our team and how we took the due diligence. Kyle made every attempt to get to Charlotte. He was standing in the pit box ready to go. This is Elliott Sawyer, I believe. This was without a doubt uncharted waters. This was unprecedented, and we had a driver miss one of our cup races to be at another event. That's why it took as long as it did. Okay.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and saying whether or not it was unanimous decision, this gentleman had said there were different views from different people. And so this leads me, and I'm going to ask you guys your opinion on it. I think that they should rewrite the rules on this. I was kind of looking in and seeing why past waivers were given, and whether it was for COVID, whether it was for broken legs for snowboarding incidents, or hurt backs for dirt racing incidents, or perhaps somebody didn't have any kind of sponsorship for the first couple of races of the year, but then got a full season worth of sponsorships from then on out, and granting them a waiver. All these things have happened before. But as far as a racer being able to do both, choosing to do one or the other, and then not being able to complete the second leg because of an act of God, and also an act of NASCAR, right, because they canceled the race, was truly unprecedented, which leads me to believe that they should change the rule to make this sort of a precedent, the Kyle Larson rule. That's my whole take on it. I could screw around with it if you guys want to, but how do you feel about this, which is going to be the biggest headline this week, which is unfortunate because we had a very interesting race that had just happened on Sunday. But how do you guys feel about Kyle Larson getting the waiver?
You had to give him the waiver.
Had
to
to?
me, I'm not going to be too critical of NASCAR this week. I've already said my piece last week, and they made the right call ultimately. I will say, if there's one criticism I have for today, it's how long it took them. Everyone pretty much universally, aside from the sanctioning body, agreed that Larson should get it, and it, in my opinion, and all of ours, he should have, as he did. But he made the attempt to get to both the races. He made the effort to be there, and it just seemed like
Not even made the attempt. He was there.
Right, exactly.
Like they just.
It seemed like there was personal feelings.
Though, right? He wasn't there. Like, gentlemen, start your engines, and to do the whole.
Not for that, but he was there to race. Like
yeah, absolutely. But
there's two ways to look at it. It seems to me, given how long it took, that someone at NASCAR HQ was personally offended that Larson prioritized IndyCar over the series that he should be, full-time competing for the Cup Series in. Now, I just think that's just an unfair criticism. Like, he was doing something to grow the sport, bring more eyes onto the sport. He wasn't playing a different sport for his own selfish enjoyment, for no one else to watch him snowboard, only to get hurt, and then he need NASCAR to come with their cape on and provide a waiver. So, like, I don't know. To me, it's a little concerning that it took this long, and there seemed to be, feelings hurt in the process. I understand he is a NASCAR Cup Series driver, and that should be the main priority. However, he was doing something that's historically celebrated and grows the sports. Rising tides lifts all ships is a historic quote. Yep. So I think for them to look at this any other way was just foolish, and I'm glad they decided not to.
Yeah, it was coming.
What about a fine? Let me ask you that, Spider. So listen, this was the right decision. I get that. I'm playing devil's advocate. So if Manoli or somebody clips this, you don't have to put that in there, but I'm playing devil's advocate here. He knew he wasn't going to be able to do the entirety of both races. He didn't know that the one race was going to be cut short, but because of the delay in Indy, he knew it wasn't going to be the entirety. To me, that puts an asterisk on the double anyway, because I think part of the allure is actually going 1,100 miles.
Absolutely.
And he wouldn't have been able to go 1,100 miles. That's just the way that it goes. And if he would have gotten there and they would have, let them finish the race, and he would have done the other 100 and whatever, or however many miles that they had left, I apologize, 200 and something, I think there still would have been an asterisk next to it. Like, is it one of those things where it's like, hey, listen, this isn't going to work out. I'm not going to be able to do the full 1,100. Let me just go and race where they pay my check. And if he's not going to do that, if he made the conscious decision for whatever reason. It's great for NASCAR. It's great for the fans. I think it was more helpful to IndyCar. More people watched IndyCar who weren't IndyCar fans last weekend than who watched NASCAR who are IndyCar fans. I don't know if you guys agree with that or not, but that seems to be the way that it's from my perspective. So should there have been at least some sort of punishment other than making him sweat for 2 weeks before he found out that he could still wheel a car in the playoffs? Like, should there have been a fine or
I don't
something
think
like
the
that?
fine does anything. I mean, unfortunately, as much as I disagree with what happened and them drawing out the decision to give him a waiver, part of me feels like that was the punishment. Like, hey, now you got to think about what you did, and you kind of got to sweat our decision to see maybe, and hopefully, like as I and everyone else pretty much said, he should get the waiver. But there was, like you said, a 2-week period of time where that wasn't necessarily clear. So I don't know. The punishment was
can't get punished.
The punishment was him not being granted the waiver right away, in my opinion, and the narrative that ensued surrounding it.
And he also missed that opportunity that we spoke about. The Coke 600, just by definition, is the biggest chance for people to pick up points.
Yeah,
just is, because so he missed out on that. He, and a lot of other drivers, particularly at this point in the season, can't afford to miss out on opportunities to get points, right? And Kyle Larson isn't in that boat. As far as playoff points goes, he's not in that boat, but he did miss out on an opportunity to get some points at the Coke 600. Maybe that's the punishment that they believe he had. But either way, Kyle Larson's in. What's your thoughts, Quiggs? I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I just think it kind of going back to my point last week where I was like, they can't be punishing you for things that they highly promote. You don't want drivers to, and this almost goes back to the Netflix series where it's like, it felt like Denny was the only one doing interesting stuff, and then you go follow these other guys, and it's like they race and then they go home and play with their dogs. Like, you want these guys to be doing interesting, cool
shit,
stuff
yeah.
that's not just like they race and that's all you ever see. Like, you want them, you don't want to be punishing them for trying to do things that bring eyes to the sport, and they were all about it when everything was going smoothly, and then when there's a little bit of rain, they make their own mistakes maybe and cancel a race that doesn't need to be canceled, and then they're like blaming Kyle Larson for everything.
But why do you hold NASCAR? And so it was 151 laps. I'm thinking miles versus laps before. I apologize. He would have made it back for 151 laps. But why do you hold NASCAR to a higher standard than that? Like, I understand the NFL doesn't show on their platforms somebody beating up their girlfriend in an elevator. I realize we see that footage other places, but we do see a lot of late hits and stuff that hurts other people's careers on the field that people tend to get fined for. Let's say that young lady was to have gotten fined in a WNBA game this weekend for the assault on Caitlin Clark, the brutal assault on Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
Like, if she would have got fined for that, meanwhile the NBA probably had that out all over as well. I don't know. I tend to side with that. And again, this is not me being a homer about this. I'm just trying to think about it from both perspectives. NASCAR would always show a fight and then fine a guy for fighting. NASCAR would always show, Major League Baseball will always show home runs from guys who are juicing when they hit them. If they happen to hit him so far into fucking McCuffey Cove that, they went over every canoe that was out there. So I don't know if there's, like, what's the hypocrisy in not letting NASCAR use everything that happens on its track to get fucking clicks? You know?
No, that is a good point, but I don't know. It feels different to me, which is dumb, but I don't know. It does. It's just like
NASCAR has the ability to move the goalposts too a lot. Like, the way that they wrote their constitution, the more that I'm learning about it, their constitution, like, they fucking salute it. But the way that their rule book is, it seems like there is a lot of gray area that they're able to kind of cancel races, not cancel, kind of find this guy versus not finding this guy, grant a waiver. I'm wondering who hasn't been granted a waiver. I'm wondering what's come across their desk where they've just been like, nope, get the fuck out of here. Because all we've heard about in the weeks leading up to this decision, and now it's been weeks, was everyone who's gotten the waiver before Kyle. So it was
Yeah.
like an easy thing. I think one of the things that Sawyer had said was, including penalty, to not have, this is Elliott Sawyer, to not have Kyle Larson in our playoff and give our fans the opportunity, the chance to see him race for another championship. At the end of the day, that didn't feel like that was the right decision for us to make, so we didn't. And that's their bottom line. That if that's truly their bottom line, I know they make a lot more money when Kyle Larson is on the fucking track too, but if they did it for the benefit of the fans, that's a pretty good way to end the press conference. You know,
I don't know. I think both.
That's a lie.
I just think both the quotes you've read have been like dumb things to say. Like the first one where you're like they needed their time to gather all the evidence or whatever. This was not something that happened in private or like a thing. This was. He had cameras on him for every stage of this event. Everyone knew
it was
exactly
gonna happen before
what happened. Like everyone knew second by second what happened and what. Like there were no private things that needed to come out from this really. And then that made it sort of sound like good thing this is about Kyle Larson. Like because he's a big name, we'll definitely let him have the waiver. Like, they basically kind of made it – that last statement I kind of heard as, like, it's Kyle Larson. We'll give him the waiver.
Right.
But, like, if he was Austin Cindric or something, like, the fans don't really give a shit. We'll just go by the rule book here.
You mean Austin Cindric with 2 wins?
Yeah.
And I wonder what they do with all that footage because Kyle legitimately had a camera crew with him, almost like it was going to be – I'd said almost like it was going to be part of the Netflix special part 2. It doesn't exist. The Netflix special second season doesn't exist yet. I wonder if that just kind of all goes in the shit can because it had gotten spoiled by Mother Nature.
I think it will make hopefully if he does it again, it will just make it an even better documentary where it's like this was what he went through the first go around.
Yeah. I'm going to cross-promote here a little bit. I know that Race Hub is coming to an end. I think their last show is going to be June 11th. Which is NASCAR's daily show on FS1. I had watched it the other day, and again, we're taping on a Tuesday. I think on either Wednesday or Thursday of this week, they're doing a small little mini documentary on diecast trading and how NASCAR didn't know what a gold mine they had on their hands. And I don't know. The only diecast I own is the one that Mamba had wheeled that one time. And when Mamba was in it, I went and I bought it. And as I was checking out, the actual computer said, "Do you really want to buy this thing? Nobody's touching these fucking things, Large." But I still bought it. That's the only diecast I own. But every time I go to the track now, they've added the ones, or maybe it's old school, but I just realized it. They added the ones with the confetti on them and stuff. They're very, very fucking cool.
Yeah.
And they have like a small clip of some guy saying to Dale Earnhardt Jr., "We're going to run a silver paint scheme." Dale Earnhardt's like, "Fuck that, I don't want to do it." And he's like, "It's going to make you $1 million." And he's like, "All right, fine." And then they just run the silver diecast as opposed to the Intimidator, classic Intimidator Black or whatever. So I don't know. I'm wildly interested in that. I'm going to tune into it and probably talk about it next week while we're on it. One of the other headlines that I've seen is Indianapolis 500 winner Joseph Newgarden has interest in competing in an Indianapolis 500 Coca-Cola 600 double next year. I know Kyle said that he was going to do this next year. How do you guys feel about is Newgarden stealing his thunder if he was to do it in the same year as him? Does this make it even fucking cooler? I'm kind of okay with not hearing about this now for the rest of the season, trying to put this behind us. But do you think, and how do you think a Indy driver will, as somebody as good as Newgarden, will do potentially running the double with Kyle Larson? Because if they do it, it will be their head-to-head results will be everywhere. And it would be like, who's the better driver, I think, at the end of the day.
I'd like to see him do it. I mean, if there's a guy that can do it, he's really good at IndyCar. So based on that, I think he would probably translate pretty well to NASCAR. I know it's completely different, car setups and everything, but he very much has the talent that we've seen in IndyCar to compete with guys that I see as talents across all forms of driving, like Kyle Larson. So, yeah, if there's a guy from IndyCar that I would like to see come make the jump, it would probably be him.
Yeah.
Especially as a defending Indy 500 winner, I think 2 in a row, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, he's the class of the field as far as I'm aware from IndyCar. So I personally prefer when the NASCAR guys go and run IndyCar because it's cool to see those guys that drive stock cars run open wheel. But I would welcome it on the IndyCar coming to NASCAR side for a driver like Joseph Newgarden that has, a lengthy list of credentials.
I'm cool with anyone doing it who's going to be competitive in both.
Yeah.
I think running the double's lame if you're just like going to be P31 if you come over to NASCAR. So I don't know how he'll do, but hopefully he does well. Or because I think Larson was very competitive in the IndyCar and wasn't didn't have no point of being there. So yeah, I think anybody who can do both competitively, I'm cool with them doing it.
I think Newgarden had said this next-gen car is more accessible to IndyCar drivers, which is one of the reasons why he's thinking about doing it now. So, and the same thing, yeah, if everyone just starts to do it just to say they did it,
yeah,
right? So JJ Yelly's like, I throw my hat in the ring, or they get somebody who's just seriously not going to finish either. Kyle Larson is a fucking unicorn. Yeah. But I will tell you, I combined that headline with my DMs because I did get multiple people. I'm not calling anybody out. I love when people feel strongly about this. And again, I try to play devil's advocate, but somebody had said to me, Suarez and Cindric, through a combined 30 starts this year, 15 for each, that duo has a combined 4 top 5s. So those two playoff drivers, Suarez and Cindric, has 4 top 5s. Larson has 6 top 5s by himself, including 2 wins. So people are saying, you're trying to tell me that you want Suarez and fucking Cindric? And that's not what I'm trying to tell you. I just am telling you that there was a Section 12 321A of the Cup rule book that says, unless otherwise authorized by NASCAR, driver and team owners must start all championship events of the current season to be eligible for the playoffs. That's the rule that Kyle Larson broke, and that's the rule that they said it's okay for you to break it. But I understand that if they wanted to go by letter of the law and they didn't do it, I don't think they should have. I think it came out right in the end. That's what the fuck they did. Why did Dale Jr. mention us on social this week? What was that? That was wonderful.
We mentioned the Cars Tour, which is a tour that he's heavily involved in. He owns partially and drives in occasionally. And there was a great finish. So we tweeted it off Rubbin is Racing, and he was super complimentary. Shout out Moonhead. I think he was the one who caught that.
Yeah.
That wasn't you, right?
No, that's Moonhead's beat.
Yeah, so Moonhead
Cars Tour.
He saw the finish in real time and then tweeted it, and then I saw it thereafter on social. So Dale also saw the tweet from our account and was just gassing us up, thanking us for shining light on his series. Then we exchanged some DMs after, and I think I'm going to join him for the Cars Tour at Florence right on Darlington weekend. They're racing on Friday, right across the street in Florence. Then the Cup race is Sunday in Darlington. So
that's fantastic. Maybe a little dinner, or
he said, quote, he will have cold beers waiting for after he's out of the car for us. So fantastic. I'm not sure, maybe a liquid dinner, but either way, I'm not going to turn down the chance to hang out with a junior. So
yeah, you're going to turn up to it, never turn it down.
That's right.
Who's Spanky? Who the fuck is Spanky, Travis?
It's my pig.
So you have a pet pig. Is it a Vietnamese potbelly, or what is it?
It's basically a Juliana pig. It's got another kind of pig in it, but I don't really know how to say the name. But
okay.
They're bred to be a little smaller, but I mean they're not tiny.
Right. It's not a teacup. It's pretty big, right?
Yeah, he's about 150 pounds, 160 pounds.
Is he full grown?
Yeah.
And does he sleep in the house?
Kinda. Like he's kind of got a garage setup deal. He spends most of the day outside grazing, and then he's got like a bed and stuff inside.
I hear you. That's awesome. I just happened to see it on social this week. We were talking about how we got kudos from Dale Jr. From your coverage of the Cars Tour, which is awesome, and Spiders parlayed that into a free dinner, perhaps, which I fucking love.
Yeah, we're gonna go down to the Florence Cars race.
Oh, perfect! I'll be there.
So
Yep.
as I was looking at it, I was looking through it. I seen that you were hosing down a pig, which is something I haven't done since college. What's up? All right, let's talk about what had happened this weekend. Trucks. After his truck was disqualified from second place at Charlotte for 3 lug nuts that were not safe and secure, Corey Heim wins at Gateway. That's the 4th time this season, all in the last 8 races, the 2nd time at Gateway, and the 9th time in 53 career starts. The series has a couple weeks off now until Nashville. Cup Series goes on a little bit of a vacation. And when they do come back, it was announced this week that Clint Boyer will wheel the number 7 Spire Motorsports truck at the Nashville Super Speedway. Can I step back and ask you guys, do you think Clint wants to do this just to keep up with Kevin being able to talk about being fresh out of a car and doing all this stuff? Did Clint have the fire put to his feet, or is it something that he was eventually going to do anyway?
I think he probably had the itch inside there like every driver probably does. I also think a little of it is that Nashville flair. You know, he's in Nashville, Party City. Guy like Clint, he's going to win this truck race, and then he's going to go out and tear it up on Broadway, and I can't wait to be there alongside him doing the same thing. So I think it's a combination of a couple things.
What do you think? Like, as I believe this is the weekend where we stop our Fox coverage, right? We transfer over after this week from Fox coverage for Cup Series and whatnot. How did you feel what kind of grade would you give the booth of Mike Joy, Clint, and
Z
Harvick?
minus.
Do you give
Well,
us a
actually, wait. Yeah. Let me.
No,
specify.
not the broadcast. Like, not so. When you said C minus, did you mean the total
No,
broadcast?
I said Z minus, as in zebra.
Oh, yeah. But how did you feel those 3 did?
I would say I would give them a B plus. I think they have relatively good chemistry. I don't know. My complaints were not with the broadcast booth. It was with the broadcast production, I'll say. So a non-factor, non-grade. They did a good job. Average performance from them. I
think a lot of people have been impressed with Harvick. I think he's been a pleasant surprise. I think it's easy to kind of get on Clint. He's the butt of some of the jokes and whatnot on social media and whatnot. But Quiggs, what you think? Do you think that booth, as far as going forward, something that they should keep intact so they move up? What kind of grade do you give them?
Yeah, I'd give them probably a B. I have a ton of issues with the broadcast, and I don't know how many of the issues with like the broadcast team are caused by the broadcast. Like, there's a few times where they kind of seem like they're not talking about something that's happening, and maybe they don't see it, or maybe they're not being like shown it, and it's not their fault. But yeah, I don't know. I liked them. I thought they had pretty good chemistry, and the booth itself was pretty good.
Would you agree they've gotten better over the season? Because I don't know if they're taking constructive criticism, but it seems particularly this week they were trying to pay attention to stuff outside of the fight for first place, right? They seem to have gone deeper into the pack, particularly this week. I don't know, maybe I'm just being a little bit biased with what I'm paying attention to versus not, but I think they've gotten better, which makes sense.
Maybe a tiny bit.
Okay.
I think so too. I mean, I think that the longer they go on, it's just the more chemistry they gain, and I think the insight that we've heard from Harvick over the course of the whole year has been pretty valuable. I thought before, when you asked me, Large, you were asking just about this week in particular, but overall I think they do a good job. I do think it's a little weird / awkward that Clint is seemingly like the butt of every joke. Now, I know he's like, a fun dude with a good sense of humor, but it also feels like they just kind of like take shots at him unwarranted a lot of times, where I feel, I don't know, just lighten up a little and have fun with the broadcast. Not everything's so serious. So that's what I value in Clint, and I feel like a lot of times they discourage him for being the Clint that we all know and love.
But don't you think he's the comedic relief? I mean, on top of being a driver
Yeah,
and stuff, he like, we try to pass it around here a little bit. Quiggs busts your balls, you bust my balls. Manoli's at hedonism. Moonhead owns a pig. Like, we try to, keep it up a little bit. Quiggs is a bleeding heart liberal, right? Yep. He's on Michelle Obama's campaign, and she's not even running for president. We do try to pass the buck around, but you're right. There was a little ball busting between Harvick and then Mike Joy. Seems like he's the parent in the front seat. Like, you kid, shut the fuck up, or I'll turn this car right around, like that type of thing. But I've kind of enjoyed it. I like him.
Much. Yeah, I like him. What do you think, Moonhead?
What do you think, Moonhead?
I like him. 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 I like
You like these guys or no?
Yeah, no, I try to always drive that point home on Twitter that I think the booth is, a solid B, maybe even an A at times. Like Darlington felt like the early 2000s with how electric they got. The production is literally horrible. But I think once they figure that out, and surely to God after this year with like the weeks and weeks of social media abuse that they have gone through, they'll make necessary changes and figure it out. So I think overall, though, the booth, I really, really grew to like the booth this year. The Harvick Boyer dynamic kind of reminds me of the Larry Mack and EW back in the day, which was like peak NASCAR in my eyes. So I'm a fan.
And Mike Joyce says he's staying around. Like, I don't know, everyone's thought every breath he takes might be his last, but it looks like he said he's going to stick around. Oh, and they did mention that St. Louis is back on the schedule for 2025, so fourth year on the schedule.
2 years in a row, it seems like the teams have had data outages or like limited intel and like internet coverage outages.
Is that why you get the Z Plus? Is that why?
No. But it seems like if they're going to go back there, they should probably figure that out for the third year. The C Plus was just. Well, what did I give a C plus to the booth?
I had said, how do you feel about
Z plus?
Yeah, Z plus.
I gave a Z minus, which in my book is the worst grade you can give for the broadcast. There were several times this week where they mentioned something in the booth, and I'm going to point back to the Dale Earnhardt Jr. interview we had on this show. He came on, and I appreciate him for doing this as a guy that's in the booth more time, very frequently. He said he will only try to speak on something that he knows for 100% has already been shown on the broadcast or they're showing in real time. This last week, and again, I'm not criticizing the broadcast guys because if you're in the booth and there's cameras and I would be of the opinion too that the camera guys have what I'm talking about. But there were a couple times where something happened they commented on, and it was never shown. There were a couple single car spins that ended up being cautions. I think we got a caution out of one of them. One ended up not being a caution. And then the other time when what did we talk about?
They were just it's just a shot of like Chris Bell in the lead, and they're like, "Holy shit, Ty Gibbs hit his pit guy."
Yeah.
And they just like didn't show it for like a minute and a half.
Yeah.
It's like, is the guy good?
We never knew how severe it was. Like, so some of the context just is completely neglected, and that is inexcusable for me and from the broadcast. Like, if you're going all the way out there, and again, that's not a knock on the booth. Those guys probably fairly, rightfully so, expect these things to be shown in real time as they discuss them, and for whatever reason, that's being lost in translation. So they need to figure it out in that TV truck.
They also had a couple of people on the results line afterwards that weren't in the race. Like they had
Allgaier,
SVG and Allgaier and whatnot.
I didn't notice that, so I'll give them a pass.
They had Allgaier as the 5 in that race.
I think my favorite screw up of the day for them was when there was a battle for the lead, and they cut to the shot of the kids in the grandstand.
Yes,
and they went split screen. And it was a live shot of the kid and then a replay of the same kid side by side while they're battling for the lead.
My brain was trying to figure that out because one of them had the kid with another person next to him, and then the other side was just him sitting in the stands alone. And I was like, what is going on? That's the same kid. And you're right. During the time they were racing for the lead, it was crazy. So they got to iron that shit out. Well, and hopefully the addition of new TV providers next year will force their hand and give them no option but to improve.
More competition.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, I think competition is going to increase the quality. All right, let's go to the Xfinity race. So I'll reluctantly announce that SVG wins in Portland. And afterwards he concluded his win with a burnout all the way around the 2-mile oval course, which was pretty fucking cool. And then he climbed out of his Chevy and signed some weird-looking fucking football. I guess we're saying it's an Australian rules football. It's not a rugby ball.
I think it's a rugby ball.
I'm calling it a rugby ball.
Don't get mad if it's Australian rules.
So that's what this guy does now, and he kicked it into the crowd, and it smashed into the face of an 80-year-old woman, breaking her nose and, putting her very close to death. But he's going to get away with it 100% because everybody fucking loves this Kiwi, even though he's coming around and he's, like I said, starts with the Xfinity, grabs, and then he's going to steal our women and take over this whole fucking country. So congratulations to Jane, whatever the fuck his name is. But SVG grabs his first Xfinity race, and as luck would have it, he's heading out to another road course this week at Sonoma because NASCAR has tweaked their rules to make sure this fucking down under celebrity is getting as much shine as he can. So it's the West Coast will be the Zip Buy Now Pay Later 250 on the Sonoma Road Course this Saturday 8 p.m. on FS1. Eric Amarola is the defending race winner, but I'm assuming that NASCAR is going to do everything they can in their power to make sure SVG gets 2 in a row this weekend at Sonoma. We'll move on to Cups.
Portland rocks. Before we move on.
Oh yeah, what did you think? What did you think of the race
Portland
itself?
seems like one of the least desirable cities in the entire United States, but the racetrack there looks incredible.
Yeah.
The racetrack there looks incredible, and every year I watch that Xfinity race and I'm like, damn, this looks really sweet. I would love to get there and check it out for myself. So I'm not gonna judge Portland on what I see on TV, other than what I see on the Xfinity race. I need to see for myself. So. Really cool race, and I thought it was exciting, and I liked SVG's celebration, the rugby ball or whatever kind of ball it was. Cool. Every driver has like their unique little stamp on a celebration, whether it be a big hat or something else. But I think the rugby ball can stay, and I also like the burnout. So
it pisses me off. He's like this tall, handsome dude.
I can tell.
His dog is a Rhodesian Ridgeback. It's like this. They were bred to hunt lions. He comes over here. He's just very good. The kicking the rugby ball into the crowd after he signed it, that's an awesome thing to do.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I feel bad for the 80-year-old woman. Oh, hold on a second. I just got a call. She died. So he fucking killed somebody. We'll see if he gets the race this weekend. And do a 2-mile burnout with like 13 turns. Fuck.
The burnout was awesome.
Yeah.
He was just Tokyo drifting around the whole thing.
So
Have y'all
congratulations.
seen the clip of him winning the supercar championship where he
I know what
took
you're
his
gonna
shoe
say.
off, made the throttle hang during his burnout so he could get out and celebrate while the car was doing a burnout on its own?
No, I have not
Yeah.
seen that. I need to see that though.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Fucking Shane. Let's get to Cup. McDowell on the pole shares a front row with somebody named Austin Cindric, who we'll hear about again in a couple seconds. John Hunter and Nemechek and Cody Ware start the race by bringing out the first caution in lap 3. What did you guys think about this race before I get into it? I know I've been asking you to grade some stuff, but how did you feel about the race itself? Not the coverage or anything, but what we had seen out of St. Louis in its 3rd year on the schedule. What did you think about it?
I thought it was exciting. I don't know, drama from start to finish. As you said, you just got done saying wreck on lap 3, which granted was only I think Noah and
It was John Hunter and Cody Ware, yeah.
Oh, there. But neither of those cars really took damage.
Mm-hmm.
They were both able to stay in the race. But it did seem like there was pretty good enough entertaining drama throughout to keep me captivated and watching and entertained. So I appreciated that. And then obviously we all know how the race finished, which was as exciting or dramatic, I don't know what you want to call it, as you could have asked for. So I think from top to bottom, I was happy with this race.
Do you want to go? You want to go to Portland? You had said that.
I got to be honest. There's few things that frustrate me more than going to a race and trying to share that experience with people and not being able to have cell signal.
Wow.
That's
Wi-Fi.
happened. It's happened a couple times, and most recently at Charlotte, which I was able to get up like 2 tweets from our whole trip there, which was a little bit disappointing. So
That's on Trump.
and yeah, honestly, probably was on Trump.
a
But
lib thing to say.
until that some of these things are ironed out, I don't know. Maybe like call me like a iPad baby, but that is essential for me. I don't know. I need to be able to have Wi-Fi and cell signal to post.
Watch your Coco Melon.
Especially when our like job is to kind of share the experiences and document.
I'm making fun of it, but I feel
so
that.
I like St. Louis. I like watching it from TV. Although as Quiggs and I were saying before, the coverage didn't really include any like scenic shots of the arch or like the surrounding.
It was there's some beautiful views that you could see of the arch like
From
the
the track.
and I don't think you would have seen that once.
Like
on the
despite
coverage.
being in Illinois across the river in a whole different state, I was surprised to learn that it was like an 8-minute drive from the arch, and you would have thought that
they missed the fireball explosion.
Yeah,
which is like their signature thing.
Like, I thought that was happening real time when they had shown a replay of it going into a commercial. I was like, that's fucking insane if they have an incendiary device going off during it. Yeah, they didn't seem like they got a lot of the local. Although a lot of the drivers had commented on how great the crowd was. I didn't get whether or not they had sold out. So I don't know. It's something. I've never been to St. Louis.
I've never been there either.
It's close to here.
So we'll pop up some Nelly and just hit that. Moonhead, what you think of the race?
I thought it was a great race. I enjoyed watching it.
So what's the stinkers? What are the stinkers so far this season? Like we can put this up. Like obviously when you have the finishes that we've had, in a place like Atlanta, it automatically puts it up into the higher echelon of races this year. But I definitely think I want to ask you particularly which ones are the stinkers versus which aren't. But we can say that we've had a lot better race experiences than we've had stinkers, right? I mean, this is a great fucking season,
for
correct?
sure.
Yeah. Go ahead, Moonhead. I'm sorry.
No, I agree with that. I honestly can't really think of anything other than the short track races that stick out as exceptionally bad. Maybe Dover was a little tough to watch, but most of them overall have had at least something that was compelling about them, even if there were some hurdles either with the car or the track or the tires or whatever. Something about every race has been pretty interesting, at least to me, and I feel like everybody kind of shares that.
Yeah, I'm having a good experience. Somebody had said, "Oh, but NASCAR needs to have this Kyle Larson, controversy because they haven't had a great season." I don't know what the fuck people are looking at.
Yeah, I disagree. I think we've had 3 photo finishes already, and then the rate lace drama that we've seen this week.
Kyle Busch gets punched in the face.
Right,
you have the rain delay that everyone disagrees with. We have what happened this weekend, which we're going to get to.
And we're only 15 races in, and we've had, what is 3 of 15?
3 is 20%.
20%?
Yeah.
So, 20% of the races have been photo finishes this year.
Yeah.
If you're complaining about that shit, find a different sport. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, we've been spoiled this year as NASCAR fans.
Yeah.
By the way, we're collectively morons because out of all of the people involved with this show, I think 1 or 2 of us had signed up for that bracket challenge. We talk about this bracket challenge. I thought that it was starting next week, so I casually sent out to you guys just as the race was starting. Let's all get into it. So even though we'll be able to judge ourselves versus each other, and maybe it was Quiggs was like, green flag drop, you can't get into it anymore. It's as I was signing up.
Yeah.
They locked me out. I already put in my email. I just didn't make my pick yet. So that has started. So Denny Hamlin bracket challenge has started, and people already had their brackets obviously destroyed with a long shot winning this weekend. A long shot for everybody except for one person on this show who fucking nailed it. We'll talk about that in a second. I'm sure he sends to you right away, Quiggs. You got the clip of me saying I like Austin Cindric this week? I love that spot.
I was getting it anyway, but I like him asking for it.
I'll save my piece on that.
Well, what about fucking Quiggs? Did you tweet out before all the shit hit the fan, how will Chris Bell find a way to lose this race?
Yeah, about an hour before it happened.
I got in on that too.
He was just clearly the best
ass.
car, and it just feels like something always happens to him that is just like out of his control.
Chris Bell passes Michael McDowell to win Stage 1 for his 3rd straight stage win, his 5th for the season, then wins Stage 2 by almost 4 seconds for his 4th straight stage win in a row, and he was the fastest car on the track on Sunday, hands down. Nobody can deny that. And then all of a sudden he has engine trouble, and again, like blowing up brake rotors, what had happened in this finals last year. The kid, it's absolute feast or famine for this poor bastard. And, Quiggs, you nailed it. It was 2 good calls by you guys. I think one of the bigger storylines outside of the ending on who should have won versus who did win was the Kyle Busch versus Kyle Larson. I don't even know if you would call it a fight because Kyle Larson was pretty chill about it, and so was Kyle Busch at the end. Who was at fault there? Watching that, was it Busch the whole way? I mean, I know he was saying that in stuff that you didn't get seen the replay and still haven't gotten seen the replay because of Fox, that Kyle Larson was racing him in a certain way beforehand. But that was 100% Busch's fault? That's what someone could take to the bank?
I think so.
It's Busch didn't like the fact that he was racing hard for stage points, which Larson was like, don't technically need them, but I'm trying to win the regular season. I'll take every point I can get. And Busch just, like, Kyle was low. Busch just crowded him and didn't have to do what he did. And they just got him loose, and then it ended Busch's day. It was, I don't know. Busch is a head case right now.
Yeah, he's a wild card.
He's like, I think he's just mentally losing it.
Yeah, he's on tilt, right? I mean, that's basically how it is.
He's super frustrated, but yeah.
Yeah. I'm wondering if, while everyone's waiting to see if Martin Truex is going to retire or make his announcement that he's coming back next year, I'm wondering if we should really be, watching Kyle Busch, or at least putting some corks on his forks, because he seems like he's becoming extremely self-destructive, right?
Yeah.
Particularly with that. It might have been his first do not finish of the season, but don't quote me on that. I thought I had heard that. It was his first do not finish. And then after holding Seabell and taking the lead, by the way, that was great fucking coverage. Like watching
the battle was awesome.
Yeah, Blaney versus Bell was some great coverage, and it made for a very enjoyable race. And then all of a sudden, Chris Bell's engine just kind of gave up. And then Blaney runs out of gas with about a lap left, and Austin Cindric gets his second career win. It snaps an 85 race losing streak since the last time he won, which would be his first race as a full-time Cup driver at the Daytona 500. Run me through that, guys. By the way, so Ryan Blaney has a heartbreak, runs out of gas. This is going to be a personal story that, Spider, you can echo.
Yeah.
Then goes into his fucking hauler, and somebody on our behalf puts a phone in his face and says, hey, can you talk positively about Rubbin is racing? We need to do like a sizzle reel. So a couple of drivers said, yeah, sure, I'll do it. We'll just say something positive about, Large and Spider, mainly Large. And so they put him in there. Ryan Blaney just did it, right? Where anybody
immediately after the race.
Fucking
didn't
guys,
even take his fire suit off.
Yeah.
He couldn't have been happier to do it too.
Yeah.
So
Great champion.
I'm sure he could have been happy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
yourself, right? Yeah.
My point
He
is
probably
he did it.
hated doing that.
He was gracious in defeat, and that is one of the reasons why Ryan Blaney is one of my favorite drivers.
No, it is awesome.
He is
that
very,
did it.
very easy to respect that.
Were you guys happy for Austin Cindric? I mean, a lot of people are mad saying that he backed into the win and whatnot, but he was competitive all day. The Penske cars, their pit strategy is, if you look at the top 10 finishers, everybody had 4 or more pits except for the 2 Penske drivers who were in the top 10, who only had gone in 3 times. Brad Kay went in 6 times because that's a problem with his wheel. So, I mean, Austin Cindric put himself in a position and drove well enough that he was in contention, but it took an act of God, not an act of God, an act of stupidity with not having enough gas in the fucking tank for him to ultimately get the win. Are you guys happy for him? Do you put an asterisk on it? I mean, I know that sometimes happens where you put like your own mental asterisk on it, but how do you feel about the Austin Cindric win?
I mean, I'm happy for him. I'm not necessarily a big Austin Cindric fan. I'm not a hater by any means, but there was narrative going around, especially with the silly season and all the free agents at Stewart-Haas that are now available, that Austin Cindric's seat could be warming up or his job could be, in jeopardy. And what better way to cement your job security than get a win? So, as I tweeted out, I was not expecting Austin Cindric to be the first Penske car to win a points race this year, nor was I expecting the race to end in that fashion. I mean, sure, it does feel a little bit Mickey Mousey, but at the same time, a little bit not. The guy won the pole, or I shouldn't say that. He was started up front, and he looked strong all week. So, and all race, He got his way up to the front. He didn't just start there. He kept finding his way up there, and Penske had good equipment this week. So I don't know. To me, I think this, and I'll let you guys respond to this, I think this win is less Mickey Mouse than Christopher Bell's Coke 600 win. I'll hang up and listen.
Yeah. I mean, they're a little different, but yeah. No, I thought I took him with 30 laps to go. I put a live bet in on him, not thinking that was how he was going to win it. But I kind of saw the battle of Bell and Blaney. Bell was way faster. Blaney was doing a great job of keeping him from passing. And I was like, something's going to give where Bell's going to get overly aggressive and know that he should be getting past him and can't. And I thought they would take each other out, and then Cindric would win in that fashion. But Yeah, I think it's I don't know. It's weird to say it's a like not a Mickey. I don't know. I don't want to use the word Mickey Mouse. That's just how you win a race sometimes.
Does anybody hate Austin Moonhead? I'll ask you. Does anybody hate Austin Cindric? Is he unlikable? I think he's likable. We did a live show of Spider and I where all of a sudden last minute they were like, "Can you get up there and talk in front of a group of people and give out a couple of T-shirts and whatnot?" And Austin, I believe, was one of the guys who came up with us at one point. Very nice dude. And I see him. They were showing like clips of him helping to like tape the front of the pit box beforehand with the pit crew. I don't know. It just seems like a nice dude, and I'm very, very happy for him. But is there another side to this story? Is Austin Cindric really a supervillain, or do people actually hate the fucking guy?
Oh, I mean, I think he's a likable guy. I've never met him, but everything I see, like when he does the Xfinity broadcast, he seems like a goofy, likable dude. I will say, though, I see a bunch of people on Twitter like saying that this win is like, oh, it just proves that Austin Cindric's back and all this stuff. If Austin Dillon had the same situation happen to him, everybody'd be calling him the biggest fraud ever. I mean, if you look at Cindric, he won a Daytona 500 that was, I'm not taking anything away from him. It's badass no matter how you win a Daytona 500, but he won a chaotic Daytona 500, and now he wins when his teammate runs out of fuel. Like, I don't think that's necessarily like, oh, we're back, we're going to make a run at the championship energy. But I think that narrative just shows that people like the guy because they hate Austin Dillon, so they're going to bring him down any chance they can get. Obviously, people are supporting Cindric and think he's a nice guy, and I don't have reason to believe he's not, but I don't think he really proved a whole lot by winning on Sunday.
Yeah.
He did get a lot of kudos because as soon as he hopped out of the car and the first microphone that went in front of his face was him saying, "I feel very bad for my teammate, Ryan." Like, it seemed like he was like, that's how he started. And people had given a lot of kudos for that. I don't know what the opposite side of, I am Austin Cindric. Are you not entertained? Like, fuck Ryan Blaney. You know what I mean? Like, I put 2 cans in. Like, Larry Mack had given a stat that Cindric pitted with 63 to go and Blaney with 64, but only the 2-car plugged in a second gas can for insurance. Like, I didn't expect Austin Cindric to all of a sudden put on the black hat and say, "A new sheriff in town. Everybody, you're on fucking notice. Watch your ass." So they were given a lot of respect for being just a decent human being. But still, I like everything about it. Even though he is getting some, and I've used this term a lot this episode, he is getting a lot of asterisks put on this win.
It sucks for Blaney that well, I shouldn't say that. I mean, Blaney has now lost 2 races to his teammate Austin Cindric in heartbreaking fashion. One out of fuel, and then the Daytona 500, he got blocked into the wall by Cindric. Understandably so, going for the win at the 500. So kind of interesting that that's happened in both of them.
Also, I think we're kind of forgetting that Cindric was kind of chasing him down, which I don't know how much. Like, I don't know how a car's dynamics work where when you literally have no fuel. Maybe that last like lap or two, Blaney wasn't getting the full performance out of his car, but Cindric was. He probably wouldn't have got there because there was only a lap left, but he would have been on his bumper towards the end.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think it would have been a competitive race even without the gas circumstances. All right, so we're 15 races in, as we said. Those who are in and around or currently in on points but are still winless are Martin Truex, Ty Gibbs, Alex Bowman, Ross Chastain, Blaney, Bubba Wallace, Chris Buescher. I believe Briscoe got pushed out. That's the whole deal. When somebody who is so far behind in points gets this win, all these bubble drivers really get fucked. I heard an interview with Briscoe this morning saying how if one of the Hendrick boys or if one of the Joe Gibbs guys who already have wins were to have, or anybody above him who would have won, it would have been a better situation for him. And we talked about how, unfortunately for all the Stewart Haas drivers, every week is a job interview for them. So no, it kind of screws with the dynamics of how these bubble drivers and below are going to have to approach the playoffs. All right, let's go with the over-under, and we'll go with Nobody's Cooler first, which is presented by Arctic Coolers. I actually found this one. Arctic Coolers had sent me this before we did the Cabo Wabo 250. So that's yet another insulated product. These guys have the cooler right in front of them. Arctic Coolers, overbuilt, not overpriced. They're premium coolers and drinkware, engineered to perform and last year after year, all at a cost 30 to 50% less than their overpriced competitors. And it's now available in Walmart. So you head to your local store, shop in person, and don't forget, Arctic Outdoors is the official cooler and drinkware of NASCAR. So you can also, if you can't get to Walmart, head to arcticoutdoors.com to check out more. That's RTIC. No A in that one. RTICoutdoors.com, arcticoutdoors.com. As far as Nobody's Cooler this week, I'm going to give it to Martin Truex Jr. I mean, I don't need to set the stage again, but Chris Bell led 80 laps, then all of a sudden dropped a cylinder or whatever this motor issue was and started to kind of fall behind. But the only reason he still had a decent, day and finished P7 with a dominant performance in the fastest car is because he got a lot of help from Martin Truex, who had his own problems and was doing extremely shitty and had all the fucking right in the world to be kind of bitchy about it. But when he came in, I thought Fox did a very good job of showing you how Martin Truex Jr. was helping out his teammate. So I gave him the Nobody's Cooler, but very close second was the guy that Ty Gibbs ran over, which wound up being his cousin Jackson, who, a real big athlete, was a quarterback, I think, at App State. And that's the guy who, coming out of the pits, Ty Gibbs said, you know what, fuck it, I never liked that cousin anyway, and almost mowed the guy down. So either of those guys are my big candidates for Nobody's Cooler. What did you guys see this week? Who did you see that impressed you, and who did you see, or what did you see that didn't impress you in the over-under?
Cindric goes without saying.
Of course, yeah.
So we kind of gave him his flowers earlier on this show. I think he delivered. The two guys that surprised me that I didn't give top 10 picks out on, and I wish I did because they came out of nowhere and finished 8th and 9th respectively. Carson Hocevar and Justin Haley. A lot of late pit strategy going on in this race. I was kind of interested to see how the dust settled, and ultimately those guys found themselves in the top 10. So pretty impressed with those guys who typically don't run around that area. Now, Carson Hocevar, I've been impressed with him this whole season. I've been vocal on that, but still an 8th place finish is more than what I was expecting out of Carson. And Justin Haley at 9th, credit where credit's due.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Anybody
just as Moonhead was saying, nobody respects Austin Dillon.
Yep.
Like Spider, 6th place finish for him.
Thank you for. I missed him.
Ahead of both of your guys. He had a great race.
Yeah, started 18th, finished P6. I called it the Trump bump, since he had Trump in the booth yesterday. So all of a sudden, yeah. So Austin Dillon definitely gets a couple of kudos from us. Anybody else?
I know we covered it earlier, but the pyro guy at that track, he continues to kill it by setting off literal bombs on the pace lap. I mean, that's pretty crazy.
Is Penske back? 2 wins, 2 drivers in the top 5, because Joey came in 5th. Plus they had Blaney with the almost win, and also 3 wins in the last 4 races. I think
they need their heavy hitters to start getting some wins.
I think back. Honestly, I will say that they are back for the reason that their heavy hitters haven't won shit yet. And Joey hasn't won a points race. Blaney, defending Cup champion, is looking for his first win, and they're still seemingly kind of in a decent spot without either of those things happening. So when those two guys, which I fully expect them to do, find victory lane again soon enough, I think they will be even more back in the Penske that we are familiar with.
I understand the non-points thing, but don't you think that there's some momentum should be given for that All-Star win?
For sure, but I also think that they're still hungry. I would imagine Team Penske is still, just as hungry as they were when they were in the drought. Joey is probably, going for these wins just as hard as he would have prior to getting that All-Star win.
A couple of weeks ago, we were saying how 3 guys had surprised us and were consistently in the under, and that they needed to do something to turn around their seasons. One of them was Joey Logano, who, seems to, got a top 5, had the All-Star win. One of them was Brad Kay. So Brad Kay came in 3rd. P3 makes 3 consecutive finishes in the top 3. Brad Kay is back. And the third one was Kyle Busch. So Kyle Busch is not the only person, but definitely one of the unders. It was the first DNF for the season, and he's now finished 15th or worse in 4 of the past 6 races. So we do put Kyle Busch, unfortunately, on watch right there.
Yeah.
How do we feel about Harvick's use of the word fugazi this week? That seems to be Harvick's hello, fellow kids. Do we like the fugazi one? Or
He didn't use it right.
Yeah, I
He
missed it
didn't.
when he said it. What was the context? Do we know?
He said it as like, basically as like his car's done for the day. He was, I can't remember who it was, but he was,
I think a
that
proper
car's
use
fugazi.
would have been like they're coming down pit road and the teams are using like code words.
I think it was when Josh Berry, right? When Josh Berry, I think his day had ended. I think he'd said that it was Fugazi and Clint Boyer. That's the Mamba effect. Mamba's throwing a lot of shit at Kevin Harvick in happy hour every week. So Kevin Harvick's getting up there and calling stuff skibbity toilet and stuff. I don't know. I don't know how much I like this shit, boys. And believe me, I'm holding on to my youth by a thread, but I'm going to point it out every time.
I like
does
him
it.
doing it. It's just he didn't get it right this week.
Yeah. I also put in the under the overstock schemes. They just look too much fucking alike. I know the hoods the roofs of the car were a different color, but the 4, the 14, and the 41 with the identical schemes just look kind of fucking stupid. Anybody else?
Yeah.
Anything that didn't impress him this week at St. Louis, or do you want to move on?
My big under was Kyle Busch.
Yeah.
He seems to just be spiraling.
So what do you think?
he's
He snaps out of it? Do you think he snaps out of it, or is this like something that's incredibly self-destructive?
I think he snaps before he snaps out of it.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that looks like because we've already seen him punch people in the face, or get in fights and shit. Yeah, I should say. But I don't know. I fear it's gonna get worse for Kyle Busch before it gets better. And
Because I don't know. I think he needs a win to get his head right, and I don't think he's gonna get a win. I don't know if he needs a change of scenery. It feels like something where he needs to like take a year off almost, which sounds stupid.
Go down to trucks,
and
get
I don't
the
think
truck
he will. But
championship, come back up.
yeah, maybe just run some trucks, get some wins under your belt.
Yeah, make yourself feel better a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, but obviously we're all pulling from. Are you Moonhead or are you a Kyle Busch hater?
Yeah,
No,
where do you stand on Kyle?
I like Kyle Busch. Honestly, it's sad to me because as a kid, I hated Kyle Busch because he wrecked Dale Jr. at Richmond that time, and I was one of those rednecks. But as I've matured, I appreciate greatness when I see it. And knowing that that run is kind of potentially coming to an end, and a very abrupt end with how bad he's running this year. I mean, just like in the last 6 weeks, I don't think other than early in the race at Gateway, I haven't seen him really run good. He's getting punched in the face. I mean, it's like nightmare scenario for him. And I feel like we're watching the end of a career. And I hope if it's going to be this way, he hangs it up sooner than later, because I don't want him to be one of those guys who has like 8 winless seasons to end their career and like, 5 top 5s across those 8 winless seasons or something. I'd rather him just be like, you know what, fuck this shit. If I can't win, I'm out.
Will you put him on a card for the rest of the season? Like I'm asking collectively. Is anyone going to bet on Kyle Busch for the rest of the season?
Yeah, I'd probably get him.
Yeah, I mean, me and Spider were talking.
I'm a massive
before,
Kyle
and he
Busch
brought up Kyle Busch, and I said I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole right now.
Okay.
So I think Spider's still in on him, but I don't know, because he got me a lot early in the season. You see Kyle Busch's name and big odds, and
also
look
you
at
saw
like past success on the track, and you're like, I know he hasn't been racing that good, but like
even last year, first early with RCR, you got to win right off the rip. Like there was reason to be, buy into Kyle Busch and think that he could still be the Kyle Busch we knew him to be.
But yeah, that's why I got to take a hard stance on no, because he always looks tempting.
Okay, so then before we leave Gateway, I will say I mentioned the Jeff Gluck poll that goes out. 67.6% said it was a good race, and I guess.
That seems low, honestly.
I don't know. I don't know what people are expecting.
Yeah.
I don't know what people are expecting.
I think a lot of it probably those races, the people cast their vote based on the actual result.
Yeah.
Like, were they happy with Cindric winning, yes or no? That's what that poll is. It's not, is that a good race? Are you happy with the way that it settled? And I don't know. So I feel like that might be subject for the skewed numbers. But I do think that more people than 2 and 3 people enjoyed that race. I would say probably 9 out of 10 people enjoyed that race.
It takes a lot to get me going at my advanced age, right? I'm 6 o'clock. I'm straight up and down all the time. But I was on my feet. Like, what the fuck's going on with Chris Bell?
Yeah.
Then when that happened with Blaney, what the fuck's going on? Is Austin Cindric going to fucking win this? My daughter's like, please, Dad. I'm, shut up, bitch. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that was me.
And the whole time, Truex is pushing Bell, and Bell's making passes while he doesn't have an engine.
Right, even though we had Blaney, Bell, doing their thing. And
it's cool.
The Bell-Blaney battle for like 10 or 15 laps, whatever it was incredible.
Yeah.
Like, the whole, if you're upset with that, like I said earlier, if you're upset with that, find a different sport to watch.
Yeah. Like, that felt like a race. If none of that stuff happened in the last 30 laps, it's probably on that poll like a 55 to 60%.
Mm-hmm.
What happened in those last 30 laps should bump it up like 20%. That should be like a 75 to 80% people saying that's a good race.
So that's it. So we're leaving. We're gonna go to Sonoma, like gentlemen. By the way, Sonoma, I think Spider will echo this. It's one of the best experiences we've had on a trip for NASCAR. Wasn't that? We were there when Suarez had won. Wasn't necessarily the best race that we've ever seen, but it's Northern California, right? One side of the mountain, you're going to get the butteriest of Chardonnays. The other side, you're going to get the earthiest of Cabernets. I mean, it's a perfect fucking place for me, which is why I'm absolutely over the moon that Ricky Stenhouse is running the Tylenol scheme this week, because I could tell you I left Sonoma with the biggest fucking red wine headache I've had in years. I tell people, go to tracks. Everybody has a track that's going to suit them. I don't know what my favorite experience, what track I want to go back to, but Sonoma's up there because I just love that experience because I'm an old alcoholic. So there's something for everybody, within NASCAR, and Sonoma's one of them. So NASCAR heads to wine country for its only race of the season in Northern California. A road course features 12 turns on a hilly course with 160 feet of total elevation changes. And with the repave, it makes it totally different from anything that we've seen before from Sonoma. So it's the Toyota/Save Mart 350 at Sonoma Raceway on Sunday, June 9th, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time on FS1. 219 miles, 110 laps. Stage 1 ends at lap 25. Stage 2 ends at lap 60, which means the final stage is an even 50 laps. Truex is the defending winner at the track. He led 51 of the 110 laps during the 2023 running. And in total, Truex has 4 Cup victories at Sonoma. 3 of those 4 coming in the last 5 years, at 2018, 2019, and the aforementioned 2023 last year. But again, everything's fucking changed with the repave, so anything can happen. So with that, let's make some picks on this thing. We'll go Picking the Tires, brought to you by DraftKings. We're this close to crowning an NBA champ, and with the action heating up on the court, it's even hotter at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. And DraftKings has you covered every step of the way with same-game parlays, live betting, odds boosts, and so much more. Don't miss out as the NBA postseason winds down. If you're new to DraftKings, you got to check this out. New customers, bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets instantly. This is one of Spider's favorite things to do, right? Bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets instantly for new users. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use the code Rubbin, that's code Rubbin, R-U-B-B-I-N, for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. How do you guys feel about this week?
I'm happy to start.
Please.
I'm
going to give you kudos. Spider's the one last week, right before we stopped. I think he had already gone.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know what, I'm going to add one. I like Cindric this week. You took him a top 10, because you're a fucking coward. But
Yeah.
you took him top 10, and this is just a great fucking call. So congratulations.
Thank you. I don't see top 10 odds currently. Like I said, we were recording on Tuesday morning, so they will probably be up. So unfortunately, cannot give top 10 picks for right now. But I'm going to start with an outright winner, Martin Truex, historically great road course racer, especially at Sonoma, particularly at Sonoma. And he's still winless. He's in some of the best equipment. I think any of his teammates are good bets to do it at any track, any given week. We've seen it with Ty Gibbs. We've seen it with Christopher Bell. I think this week might be Truex's turn, especially at a track that has been good to him. in the name of Austin Cindric, I'm still intrigued by him. And he's raced here twice. And one of those races, he has a top 5. And I think momentum is a very real thing. And I think I would be considering putting Austin Cindric. And I don't know what his top 10 odds are right now. For a top 5, he's plus 275, which is still juicy. But I think
it's not that juicy.
I think he's a real good pick on this track. And then I also want to take another Ford, and I'm intrigued. Actually, there's 2 more I'm intrigued by, and both are currently 14-1. I'm not going to take them outright, but I may add them for top 10s. McDowell and Buescher, I think, are both really good threats to win. McDowell's an elite road course racer, and I'm pretty sure Chris Buescher has looked strong here as well from the driver averages intel that I've seen. So those are what I'm liking so far. Truex outright is my main pick, and then stay tuned for Sunday's tweet with our actual card. I might add a couple more plays between now and then, but for now it's just Truex outright on DraftKings plus 550.
I like it.
I'm going to go. I'm taking McDowell. I like McDowell. I'm taking him right now. I'm going to take him top 3 at plus 400. So I'll grab McDowell. He's plus 1,400 to win. I'm going to take him top 3 at plus 400. I'm also going to go against you assholes, and I'm going to take Kyle Busch top 3 at plus 800. Ooh. Again, I don't know. That top 3 plus 800, Kyle Busch just seems fucking juicy to me. And I think he's angry. And then I'm going to go one thing that's going to be just chalky, almost chalky. Not the shortest odds. Martin Truex is the odds-on favorite. I'm going to take Larson. Larson to win, top 3 McDowell, top 3 Kyle Busch are the 3 on my card this week. What do you got?
I have no outright winners because I don't know. Road courses are just weird odds-wise where they really, because I don't know. There's usually about 8 to 10 people that could even like possibly win this race. So I just don't really love any of the odds. So this is kind of gut feeling, but I'm going Ty Gibbs top 3. I think he's gonna have a really good day. So I'm taking him top 3. I'm taking a group winner. So Group D is Daniel Suarez, Austin Cindric, Will Brown, and Ryan Blaney. Ryan Blaney has the longest odds out of that group at plus 400.
Oh,
taking
wow.
him. I could just see Cindric not having a great day, Suarez not having a great day, and then I don't know anything about Will Brown, but he may not fit in very well, and Blaney's a good driver. And then this one I won't have real odds on, but I'll kind of take it at whatever it is. A 3-car top 10 parlay, which never hit, but I keep doing them. I'm going Allmendinger, Buescher, and Denny Hamlin. I think that'll come out to like around plus 400, plus 350, but I'll take it at whatever it is. Yeah, Buescher is sneaky road course beast.
Yeah, no, he's better odds in some of the group stuff than Denny.
Last 10 races, he's got 9 top 10 finishes.
Buescher on road courses?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Buescher a lot this week as well.
So, yeah, that's my card.
All right. I was kind of looking at Reddick, too. Whatever.
Reddick, yeah, he's historically been a good road course ringer recently, but
it's way too early in the week, as people know. So I beat a couple of DMs and stuff again today. Why don't we release early in the week? We'll think about that in the off season, but we can't do anything about that now. Moonhead, do you like anybody this week? Anybody jump out at you at this early occasion?
Christopher Bell was really, really fast at the end of Coda. I remember that because I had money on him there. Also, we've got Cam Waters and Will Brown coming over from Supercars. Not saying it's going to go like SVG on a street course because all these guys that he's going against have raced at Sonoma. I don't know if those two have ever raced at Sonoma, but I don't expect them to do bad. I think that they'll go out there and probably be in contention for at least a top 10. So those guys are on my radar as well.
I like it.
Is this the one where SVG is going to be spotting for?
Yeah.
It's weird to me that SVG's former drivers that he raced against are now coming to America to race in the Cup Series, while SVG is a spotter when his end goal is to get to the Cup. I don't know. The whole thing to me is weird. I just feel like SVG should be racing in the Cup Series at Sonoma this weekend. I understand, there's not really a seat for him.
You think that's an all, but so when Trackhouse gets the extra or gets the charter from Stuart Haas, like Trackhouse has got a lot of these charters already kind of spoken for, which we spoke about. Does this week make a difference? Is SVG almost a shoo-in for that?
I think so.
Should be.
I think so. And I know I formally said that it was Zane Smith's seat to lose on this show, but I don't know how I can say that in good faith with the results. Although, I mean, I know the over-under segment just ended. Zane finished 19th this past weekend, which I feel like is pretty good result for him. So credit where it's credit's due. But that being said, he's had a pretty tough season, all things together. So if it were between Zane and SVG, I'm taking SVG. And I also think I might have just hit the remote or something. But Zane just like skipping Xfinity was super wild to me in hindsight. Now that we see a guy like Carson Hocevar who kind of skipped Xfinity and is killing it, and then we see Zane Smith who went from truck straight to Cup and is kind of struggling. So just an interesting dynamic, and I think based on that, unfortunately, the seat would probably go to SVG for now.
All right, and I mean, does it change that he killed a woman? Whatever. I mean, he's in this country illegally. He came over the border with a coyote like fucking Sicario, but everyone seems to give him a pass. That's fine. Alrighty, guys, that's it for Rubbin is Racing. Thank you very much, Spider, as always, Quiggs, Moonhead, and Vinny. So we're talking about going to Sonoma to drink some red wine. Vinny DiTrollo is helping us out. I mean, the smell of garlic in this fucking room is absolutely overpowering. Thank you so much for sitting in. We really appreciate it. Manoli will be back next week, I think. Oh, it depends on how long.
The following week.
Another week.
2-week hedonism cruise. Good for him. Alrighty, guys, thanks so much. Enjoy the races this week. We'll talk to you next week.
Peace.